KFAN, The Fan.
It's 7:05. Marnsie's here.
She doesn't miss the misery, right?
She misses the Marjorie.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I bring the misery.
You sure do. I was just agreeing with you.
I can say it, but it feels different when you just so excitedly and quickly agree with
I'm
it.
just trying to, I had your back. Marnie's here. Bonesy's here. I'm supposed to do the news, but I mean, if you guys want to talk about sports stuff, it's cool. I don't care. I mean, I can get the news in a minute. I ain't afraid of you. You tell me what you want.
I could talk about a big game from last night if you
Was it a game of
wanted
risk?
to. It was not.
Because that game takes forever.
It does take forever.
There was risk involved for the teams playing.
Okay.
But that Wolves game, whoo, baby, that was a big win for multiple reasons. I think the biggest just to show us that team is still there. That number one team that has been leading the Western Conference for the better part of this season and hasn't looked like it for the last few weeks is still there and turned it on in an instant. So does it mean you're still concerned about the way they've played the last couple of weeks and the loss just Saturday at San Antonio? Yeah, of course. It doesn't wipe all of that out, but it shows you that this team can still put it together against the best in the league, and that come playoff time and come stretch time, we're still going to be right there.
Marnes, if you look back at the last couple of weeks of Timberwolves basketball, you can point to a lot of hero ball, right? Some defensive breakdowns, letting bad teams stay in games or get back in games. There's a bunch of reasons why they've lost the 3 or 4 games that they've lost and been scared a couple of other times. But could you also just make it as easy as that Mike Conley makes a huge difference just in terms of the maturity that Chris Finch keeps yelling about, that Conley's the opposite, right? He's the definition of solid professional maturity, and that with his sickness and injuries or whatever, that the games that he has missed, that's been the number one difference.
Yeah, it absolutely has. And I don't know that anyone would deny it. I just think it's a concern because if you fall that far from one player being gone, and he is a very important player, but if you can't figure out how to absorb his loss for a handful of games, that's a problem. If you're going to lose to Charlotte and San Antonio, we're not talking like middle of the road teams. We're talking the bottom. If you fall that far that fast, that's a problem. We had the worst fourth quarter rating in the entire NBA over the last 5 games. We had been outscored in fourth quarters for 5 straight games. And Mike Conley had missed, at the time, it was 3 of 4. Last night made 4 of 5. That's the problem, though. You're going to slip, but you can't free fall without Mike Conley. And you have to be able to have somebody somehow organize you, or collectively be organized, or collectively not play hero ball. And maybe last night was the night when it kicked in, because that fourth quarter was tremendous. We outscored OKC in the fourth by 10, 34-24. We shot 58% from the floor, 60% from 3. And how many turnovers did we have in the fourth quarter? Anybody?
0.
1!
Told you.
And turnovers has been a huge issue in the fourth quarter. And Mike Conley did not play last night. And this team figured out a way, not only figured out a way, but turned it up.
Well, and how about that stat that you had last night, Marnes, about the Thunder being, 28-0 entering the fourth quarter with a lead or something like that this season?
28-1, yes. 28-1 this season going into the fourth with a lead, now 28-2. And the other loss they had besides last night was to the Minnesota Timberwolves at the end of November.
Talk about it. Tell them, Marnes.
That's just it. I mean, that's incredible that the team we watched lose to San Antonio after a couple of bad losses just went up against one of the contenders in the West on their home court and definitively beat them. It was awesome to see, and I think a very important game at this time of the season.
I watched the broadcast last night because I like to support you. But I also watched it because I like Jim Peterson and Michael Grady. And Jim Peterson must have said 10 times, and he was right, I think, all 10 times, that SGA is virtually unguardable. And he proved that, right? Fourth quarter. It didn't matter what the Wolves did.
He's so good.
He can pull up. He can drive past the entire team. It's like that guy just, it looks like you have him dead to rights, and then he just floats it and drops it in.
Yeah, he made a shot on the baseline that was ridiculous. He had no business even shooting it. It was a terrible shot, and he freaking made it. He gets a whistle, though, man. I am not a fan of the complaining that Anthony Edwards has been doing lately, but it has been warranted in a lot of cases. And when I think last night that drive he took down the lane, 2 minutes to go, that emphatic two-handed dunk that essentially knocked the Thunder out of the game. He was fouled by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. It wasn't overly egregious. We had to look at like the third angle of a replay to see it, but it was a foul on SGA. And I think maybe that's the reason Ant lost his mind, was because if SGA gets bumped, the refs call a whistle. He shot 16 free throws last night. Ant shot 4. And I don't know if officials need to be graded or something needs to happen to even it out, but the discrepancy between star players, like a Joel Embiid, they just turn and they get a whistle. And it's not fun to watch as fans. It's not a fun basketball game to watch.
It seems like that's almost a point that star players get to in the NBA, where they get to the point where they're like, okay.
But that's not how it should be.
It's time for me to get that respect that other star players get. And they almost have to call it out to let the referee and to let the community know, I'm at this level now.
Yeah. And that's what Ant did in his postgame. He started his sentence by saying, I will take the fine. And you're like, oh, here it comes. Yep. So that you haven't earned that whistle yet. You haven't earned that call. That mindset needs to go away in the NBA. If you're a rookie and you get fouled, guess what? That's a foul.
Well, and even if that's the mindset right now, is Ant not a star?
Right.
Should he not be getting, if only stars get a whistle?
Correct. That is
Ant not a star? Shouldn't he get a whistle too?
And maybe he's not helping his case by the way that he claps at officials and complains all the time. Maybe he needs to take another route, but he should be getting that feedback then. Tell him that so that he can figure out what he needs to do. He has been taking a lot of free throws, though. I think he's like 4th in the last month or something in free throw attempts. He has been getting it. Last night was just one of those cases where it was just so obvious there was another star player on the court. Jaden McDaniels just barely nudged SGA.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my. Was it like the third quarter right inside the free throw line? Oh, it was a ticky-tack touch foul. And that's when the lid comes off on someone like Ant.
So I'll admit, I don't remember SGA playing for Kentucky. I think he was only there a year, and he grew up in Canada. So to me, SGA just kind of came out of nowhere. He went from like, who is this guy, to like top 10 player, right? Ascension super quick.
Yes.
I had forgotten the trade that got him to Oklahoma City.
Yeah,
and
he played for the Clippers.
Yeah. Do you remember the trade though? Because I did not. Check this out.
It was a big one. It was a big name.
Yeah, but it's not even about the name.
It's Paul George, right?
Check this out. 2019, the Thunder send Paul George to the Clippers for SGA, Danilo Gallinari, 5 first-round picks, and the right to swap first-round picks in 2 other years.
Jeez. Wow.
So that was Rudy Gobert before Rudy Gobert was Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, that's what set the market for Rudy Gobert.
And that's 5 first-round picks and SGA.
And you had no idea he was going to be what he is, and it didn't take him long. Wow. And OKC,
what a disaster trade that
OKC is set up to be a dynasty in the NBA.
So I think it's like 12, 13, something like that. It's a ridiculous amount of first round picks over the next 5 years.
If they can, go ahead, Max.
I was just going to say, even like, it's not a perfect science. Nobody's going to get it right every single time, but they're already one of the best teams in the NBA, and you can't whiff on that many first round picks. They're like Marnie said, they're set up to just be dominant for years to come.
They just have to not screw it up. And they have to keep guys happy because they still have a tough time attracting free agents. Who was it like a Pau Gasol? was one of the more recent ones who went to Chicago because he said like OKC doesn't have fine dining and the opera. And like that, so it's still going to be a battle for them to keep everybody happy. But if you're drafting guys and you're drafting the right guys, then you can just keep building it, and you get the control over them. They could be good for a long time.
I mean, according to a quick Google search, they have almost 10 Raising Cane's, I think. I'm looking at it right now. There's one.
What's the problem, pal?
There's a bunch of them off of Highway 3, off of Interstate 40. Hey, come on, Paul. What are you doing? Pau Gasol. What is he up to now? Is he back in Spain? What is he doing?
He's a great guy. He's really taken up the mantle for his boy Kobe, and he's always hanging out with Kobe's kids and family and everything. And yeah, he's been there for that family. It's been really cool to see.
To answer your question, 7'1".
What question was that?
I asked, what is Pau Gasol up to?
That's a huge bitch.
Lecco, you are locked in today.
Locked.
That's a huge bitch.
Love it. Thank you, Marty.
Tremendous. You really add a lot to the show.
Didn't that sound sincere?
It was really.
I think she means it.
I know. I'm just conditioned to wait for a right hook
Rip?
at the end of that. So, but it's not coming. It's not coming. It was actually a nice thing that she said.
That was very nice.
Yeah.
John Bonus, do you have to go? And if that's the case, do you want to talk about Polanco quickly? Or can you stick around for one more?
I can stick around until 7:40.
Okay, great.
Next
Let's do one more with Johnny Bones after this. More of the Power Trip Morning Show on The Fan.
The Fan.
I'm sorry. I don't know what I was.
We're too comfortable.
Things that come out of your mouth.
I don't know why I said that. I'm so apologize.
You knew I was in the room.
I know. Max said this when you walked out. Sometimes we forget you're a lady. I'm so sorry.
Sometimes we forget you're a lady.
I'm so sorry.
We're way too
I'm
comfortable.
so sorry. I love you. I didn't mean to do that.
By
I
the way,
apologize.
Chad and Greg would like to have the two of you take compliance training for human resources.
Obviously, it didn't take. I'm sorry, Mars. You got my point. I've never done that.
Yeah, you made your point. Mad respect for that.
Thank you for that.
For you not
I'm
showing
trying to be a pro.
certain parts. That was a bizarre conversation.
It really was.
We're talking about somebody showing too much cleave, some professional woman maybe showing too much cleave, and then Hawk said he doesn't show his. And then he had a very creative adjective and verb, and it was like,
Well, in his defense, he forgot you were a lady.
And also, just to clarify, me and Hawk were not in the camp of anyone showing too much cleavage.
Yeah, right. No, we didn't. We disagreed vehemently. Sorry, Mars. Sorry, Mars.
Did you guys see any of the game on Saturday? It's a sharp turn.
Of course, yeah.
got
You were
this.
in San Antonio.
I was in San Antonio. We had to stop the game in the first quarter because there was a bat on the court.
yeah, I saw that.
And the mascot.
Slugger?
How did the mascot have the Batman costume ready?
It's not a little slugger. It was actually an alive flying animal bat.
Man.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to address, that a lot of people are wondering, like, was that staged? Why would you stage that? Because you're right, Max. This happened, I don't know, 3 minutes into the game, something like that. And the Spurs mascot, who looks like some kind of a coyote, came out wearing a Batman costume and holding a fishing net and chased after this bat for, it took a couple minutes, but he eventually caught him in the net and they got it off the court. And they played the Batman theme. And you're like, how would they have that ready? So we were asking around, and apparently they saw the bat during pregame, like pregame warm-ups. It was darting down. And so a couple people spotted it and then would dart back up. So they knew there was one in the arena and that there was a chance this was going to happen. So I'm guessing they had that stuff ready And as soon as it made an appearance, they went with it. That I don't know why you would stage. I don't know why you would stage it. It would make no sense at all.
No.
But then also the guy next to us was the beat writer for the Spurs. So he's at every game. And we asked him, how often does this happen? And he said, maybe once a year.
Man.
But it basically happens every year, but maybe once. So they saw it in pregame. It was darting down. They got the Batman costume ready, said, hey, have the music ready. The net was right there, and boom. That's what happened.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That's something. And
can you imagine being a player on the court, though, all of a sudden they're... And Manu Ginobili was at the game. The guy who swatted a bat.
That was the best.
In real life and then had to get rabies shots. They showed him on the Jumbotron after that, and he gave a wave. He was at the game. It was hilarious.
Wow.
What are the odds that it bombards the players on the court versus like one of the 15,000 people in the arena?
Yeah, can you imagine landing in a lady's hair in the 20th row?
In the Bats' defense.
Didn't that happen at a concert?
Lady.
Hawk?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, every time I'm at the Target Center, I'm going to keep my fro on the swivel in case there's a bat just waiting in the wings.
If there's one building in the NBA, though, that you can believe there's bats in there, it's that building. It really is. It's a giant barn, right?
Oh, yeah.
I would have to know more. I mean, Hawk, you would be the guy to know about bats
Yeah,
here,
I sure would.
I would assume they would, if they're going to be flying around, they're looking for open
Bugs.
area.
Yeah.
And bugs. They're not looking to go into a crowd if they can help it.
Right. Of course, they can't see either.
Well, there's that.
You know.
It's the second time I have been working at Timberwolves game where there was a bat on the court. And then both times, the mascot caught it in a fishing net. So this must be standard procedure. The other time was a handful of years ago in Salt Lake City. And the Jazz mascot ran on the court with a fishing net and caught the bat. And it takes like a minute. They chase it down and all the players cover their heads. It's funny to watch.
But what if it takes 45? What do they do? I mean, again, I watched it on Saturday. It did, like you said, it was about a minute. He must have swung, I don't know, 7-8 times before he finally got it.
Yep.
Then grabbed it by the neck through the net. That was good. Just like I got it and was showing it off to everybody. What happens if they don't catch it right away and it just keeps flying around? What do they do? Just keep delaying the game?
And if you're a bat, why don't you go back up to the ceiling where it was all peaceful for you? If you know you're now being chased on the court at sea level, wouldn't you retreat to the rafters?
Can't understand
Bat's an idiot.
bats.
Yeah.
Can't understand them.
Can they make bat catching a sport? I mean, you said it was fun to watch. Can we just, in an arena, just throw a bunch of bats out there and be like...
Oh, my God.
Maybe at halftime, instead of Red Panda doing the, unicycle trick, we just have bat catching.
Instead of a mascot race.
Maybe we get some bats.
You have a mascot contest for who can catch the most bats.
Yeah, maybe we try to get the bats to knock her off that damn unicycle.
Oh, my God. That would be fantastic. Let's combine them. Love it.
Oh, my God.
Lands on the plate.
Yeah. That's on
She
your
has
plate.
to
You gotta
catch
eat
a
it.
bat in her bowl.
While we're doing the dog frisbee halftime show, all of it at the same time.
Wow, just chaos everywhere.
Chaos, anarchy. We'll microdose mushrooms the entire halftime show.
No. Sounds like a nightmare. I'd be
See what
so
happens.
stressed.
What?
Will John doesn't like
You
it.
didn't like it at all? I'm going to give you some news.
This is KFAN News with Chris Hockey.
Max, put away your D-cleave.
Is that the God.
Isn't that terrible?
Well, and then when Hawk said, I've never showed any D-cleave, I said, well, Zach posted that picture of me on the KFAN account.
He did.
Where I had some D-cleave going.
Yep.
Got me laid, though.
I didn't know it. Oh, my gosh. You're welcome.
Still plenty of time to snap up tickets ahead of tonight's big Mega Millions drawing.
It did, Mark.
The jackpot is $311 million.
Hang on. I didn't know that. So let's, timing should be everything.
I know,
but hang on.
I know.
I didn't know that was
I figured
the number.
you knew. How do you not know?
Hang on. All right, can you do that story again?
There's still plenty of time to snap up tickets to tonight's big Mega Millions drawing. The jackpot stands at $311 million.
311, the Beatles of rap rock.
With the cash option working out at $147 million. Tickets are $2 a pop. Odds of winning the grand prize, roughly 1 in 302 million. There you go. Get her done. I didn't know it was up there again.
I didn't either.
Hey, is this the reason you guys brought this up a moment ago? By the way, I don't know. I'm sorry if I was half listening. Amazon Prime Video is starting to air commercials on its streaming service.
Wasn't the reason, but yeah.
I've heard that was happening.
I've heard the news, yeah.
Users who didn't agree to pay an extra $2.99 a month for the ad-free option started to see limited advertisements on Monday. The company said in September the extra charge will allow them to continue investing in compelling content and make their executives richer.
Yeah, because if it's anything Amazon needs, it's more money.
More money, man.
Right, yeah.
Maybe they're just preparing to have local sports teams.
Oh.
And their
yeah.
games will have commercials.
Look at
All of a
you
sudden,
already
you're very
said-
pro Bezos. Look at you,
Hell
Flip.
yeah.
I'm very interested in
A company
Amazon
gal.
these days. I mean, I have been supporting that company for the better part of 10 years. So I
About
feel
time
like
they start
I have-
supporting you.
Yeah.
My son appreciates it.
Doc, did you see the breaking news
Which one, buddy boy?
coming to the X this fall?
I guess I did not. No, let me check my eames. Go ahead, tell me.
We mentioned Copacabana earlier.
Don't say it.
Barry Manilow, the last St. Paul concert coming to the X August 2nd. I can't wait.
It's a good show.
What if he lives another 10, 20 years and tours again?
What if?
It'll be the last, the next last?
I don't know.
Here's a quote. I can't sing those damn songs again. So this is it.
He's a showman.
He is, man. You know what he shows?
Don't say it.
That D-Cleave. You know he
Which
does.
is my favorite Manilow song, I think, out of all of them.
D-Cleave. What are you stirring that drink with there, Barry? I can end this scene now. I apologize. The Tropicana Las Vegas closing its doors for good on April 2nd. Would be a day shy of its 67th birthday. The famous casino resort will be demolished and replaced with the baseball stadium that the future Las Vegas Athletics will call home. The Tropicana's 700 employees were notified of the closing on Monday. The date, actually, along with the public as well. The demolition process is expected to take between 9 months and a year. Employees of the Tropicana Las Vegas could get big payouts after the iconic casino resort closes on April 2nd. The Culinary Union, which owns the hotel, and the Bally's Corporation, I should say, which owned the hotel, agreed to a severance. A lot of the employees will get $60,000 apiece. As a severance.
Maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, we took a trip to Vegas just to watch one of the Vegas casinos, Strip Vegas casinos, close. Because what is it like when a casino, which is 24/7 for decades, what happens? How do they close it? What happens there?
Do you remember which one it was?
It was the Sahara.
No kidding. Yeah, the good old.
We went there and it was one of the, again, kind of like the Tropicana, kind of at one end of the strip. It was the opposite end, etc. It ended up being a little anticlimactic. Basically, what they do is they just start closing one table at a time about every half hour until there's just one table left, and then they close that one.
What about the slot machine?
And that's it.
My babies.
They just start roping them off a little bit at a time.
Hey, Chris, speaking of the Tropicana in Vegas, you know, last week you said, you're like, how come the Live PGA merger didn't happen? Like, how did I miss that, right?
Yeah, right.
I feel the same way about Vegas and the A's.
Yeah.
Are you guys following this whole bit too?
I didn't know it was a done deal.
I thought it was a done deal.
Oh.
And then over the weekend, I heard that Utah now is saying, hey, if it falls apart in Vegas, we'll take them. What is going on with the A's
Why
now,
would it
John?
fall
Is it
apart?
not done?
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought it was a done deal. The hell's going on with the A's?
I mean, I thought it was a done deal too. My guess is that the stadium piece is a somewhat nebulous situation. I think we've heard for a while. I mean, first of all, they got to play in Oakland like yet another year, and I think they were going to go to Vegas and actually not play. It's not going to take them 1 year to build the stadium, right? So I would assume they're moving to Vegas and playing in a different place for another year. The whole thing's been a little bit of a cluster. There's been a lot of accusations thrown about at A's ownership about the fact that they walked away from a deal that everybody kind of thought was finished in Oakland. Some of those accusations are from other Major League Baseball owners who think that if he thinks he's going to be able to just move this to Vegas and then, sell it immediately afterwards, they want to make sure that, there's a significant penalty for going and doing that. So, Zach, you had your hand up?
Basically, I guess it has to do with local TV money and the market and all that, because apparently if they move to Vegas, that's already a market that's covered, and so that's why they have to move far enough away to like that Sacramento or Salt Lake City are the two more likely options right now, just for while they build the stadium.
What the hell's going on here?
One of the more interesting aspects about A's season ticket holders is that they actually have kept a fair number of their A's season ticket holders because it's assumed that if you have A's season tickets in Oakland, you'll be able to keep them when you go to Vegas. And they are thinking to themselves, well, we can easily scalp those tickets for people in Vegas and make a lot more money than when we bought those tickets here for the A's, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is one of the reasons why if you went to the Vikings game in Las Vegas, it was over 50% Vikings fans.
Definitely.
Right? It's because I think a lot of the season ticket holders for the Vegas Raiders are old Oakland Raiders season ticket holders who are more than willing to just dump those tickets.
And they're going to need ticket sales because, as it says here, they're going from the 10th largest TV market with Oakland to the 40th.
Right.
So they're going to get significantly less money from whoever broadcasts their games. And but it'll be interesting. Will it be full almost every game because of all the visiting fans visiting? I don't know.
There's an article about the owner as well, this John Fisher.
Yep.
And how he's using private money, but the Nevada governor signed a $380 million public funding bill for the ballpark that's expected to cost about $1.5 billion. This article says John Fisher, the owner, whose leading accomplishment in life is being born into immense wealth, must get private financiers to quite heavily support his efforts, and that won't be easy. That's because private money is going to have real concerns about the club's viability in Las Vegas.
I presume
they have to probe more deeply into the rickety plans and numbers and projections that were trotted out to deceive the tax-paying public. Whoa, scandal.
Well, now we're going to need an emergency podcast.
I presume this is also going to be an indoor stadium because it gets so hot in Vegas. It's going to be a lot of money to build that.
Speaking of an emergency podcast, Jorge Polanco got traded to the Mariners. We've talked about it a couple times this morning, but where can people get full Polanco coverage?
TwinsDaily.com has got, I don't know, we probably have a half a dozen stories up, different angles on this thing and what it means for the Twins heading forward. And also, Gleeman and the Geek will be recording an emergency podcast at 8:30 on Patreon. Bottom line on the trade is it makes the Twins worse. That doesn't mean that they won't make some additional trades that will, recoup that and hopefully make them better. But there's no reason to celebrate this as a move forward. It's a move backwards.
Is Carlos Correa's plantar fasciitis okay?
He says it is. His report at Twins Fest was no problems whatsoever with it.
Okay, good.
No issue.
Thank you. That's all I care about.
Yep.
Some good news.
Yeah.
See?
You're an American treasure. Since we asked Lieber this yesterday, we'll ask you as well, even though we'll forget as soon as you leave the room. You're here next Tuesday and then you leave?
That's correct.
Got it. So one more bonus Tuesday before you head off for spring training where Polanco will not be.
That is correct.
Okay. Thanks,
Bye, Johnny Bones.
Thanks for the coffee, too.
Yeah.
Mark Rosen is next. Marney Gellner is here. This is the Power Trip Morning Show on the Fan.
All right, Marnes. I have a question and I need an answer, and I'm guessing you're going to be able to give me the answer.
Probably not, because I think I know what your question's going to be.
Watching. Is that giant Fruity Pebbles advertisement actually on the floor, or is that placed on there by the television?
Yeah, that is not on the floor. And
for real?
Yeah, it's digital.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I'm 99% sure that's digital.
But what about the other two advertisements?
The key, I think, one is fake.
Because look, it's not on the court right now.
No, it is digital.
Holy moly.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
How
So
Matrix.
we're watching a replay of the Timberwolves at Oklahoma City last night. They're in the fourth quarter, 3:57 left, just to give you an idea, because those advertisements are throughout the game, placed there at different times, depending on what spot you've bought or what portion of the game. It's just like the backdrop in baseball, and you're seeing on the ice as well is these digital ads. It's wild.
It's brilliant. That's a brilliant thing. And let me ask you, is that Bally's selling that advertisement to Fruity Pebbles, or is it OKC selling that to Fruity
Now,
Pebbles?
that's what I thought you were going to ask me was in the weeds stuff. I can tell you that it's not real. I cannot tell you
who's responsible for it.
Yeah.
Right. And they almost have to be Bally's. We're watching Bally.
Not necessarily. A lot of times the leagues, like you have to get, at least in the NHL, you have to get permission from the league to place digital advertisements on the ice. So I'd imagine there's some sort of revenue or spot sharing at least. Because it doesn't make any sense why Fruity Pebbles would be sponsoring on Bally Sports North specifically. So that might be a league.
Pebbles.
It's great.
Well, isn't it a General Mills?
Post.
Post,
It's a
yeah.
post.
But I will say that the greatest
Fruity
example of
Pebbles
that is the NHL on the boards. Have you seen?
Yeah.
The digital enhanced dasher boards now are nuts that they can do all that on the boards live. This is cool, but that's a whole new level.
Sometimes those digital boards in hockey, when they change, it is wildly distracting
Yes,
as a viewer.
I don't like
It's
the moving
jarring.
ones. I don't know why they do the moving ones. They should get rid of that.
But I was going to say, Fruity Pebbles has an in-arena advertisement at Target Center, and it's like like the Fruity Pebbles replay, I think, and I think it might be in the first half.
Oh
man!
So they
So it is the
are
so it's the team.
directly
Yeah.
tied to the Timberwolves this season.
Well, let me tell you,
Rosie's seen it. He's been to games. He gets good seats once in a while.
Once in a while,
Pays for 'em.
sold out.
and I get hungry for Fruity Pebbles.
Let me tell you something, brother.
good for you.
We all know Cocoa Pebbles are the way to go.
Oh man!
But
Chris is correct.
I do love Fruity Pebbles. Don't get me wrong.
yeah, Coco's.
But Cocoa
much better.
Pebbles, the milk is just
Yeah, you got to let the milk soak
perfect.
in.
All right. I didn't mean to be controversial, but
The
That's very
the texture of Fruity Pebbles and Cocoa Pebbles, I think, before they get soggy, like in the middle between being dry and soggy,
yeah,
Thank
droggy,
you.
when they're droggy.
the middle,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Thank you.
Take Cocoa
You're
Puffs
welcome.
over Cocoa Pebbles, though.
No, you're wrong about that, brother.
Well,
Yeah.
agree to disagree.
You're wrong. That's wrong.
You chew up the roof of your mouth.
Yeah, the roof of your mouth gets all just.
Maybe
What,
I
you
like that.
You're going to recommend Captain Crunch next?
Oh my god.
yeah, peanut
do
butter
it.
crunch, man.
Oh, peanut butter crunch is good.
Best cereal
But again,
of all time.
you're going to have to call 911 before you start eating because there's going to be a lot of blood in there.
I don't
It's
care.
going to look like Saving Private Ryan by the time you get done.
Oh,
Sometimes a little blood is good.
Oh, okay.
Goodness.
I don't know how to feel about that. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Zach, a lot of things you say make us uncomfortable.
Yeah, real uncomfortable. Like 911 uncomfortable.
Like Dleavage.
Yeah, I like that better, by the way. That's an improvement over what I said. Thank you.
Yes, it is.
It is.
what did I walk into?
Boy, you don't want to know. Hey, you know what, though, Rosa, real quick?
What's that?
They think they may have found Amelia Earhart's plane.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Man, it's been a while.
Yeah. Deep Sea Vision, Tony Romeo.
20 Romeo.
We're for out here. Use sonar technology. They think they found it on the ocean floor between Australia and Hawaii.
Well, isn't that nice?
Yeah, 1937 she crashed.
She sure did.
I wonder if she's okay. Do you think?
Did
Wow.
she survive?
Did they find her?
Yeah.
Did you know her, Rosie?
Yeah.
Oh.
I know a few Amelias, but not that one.
Yeah. Amelia Bedelia.
Yeah.
Rosie, I think you got to let this one go, though. I mean, I know it was 1937, but women are absolutely capable of flying planes.
Obviously, she didn't do a very good job.
Okay. All right.
For a female perspective on this scandal, we turn to a woman.
Thank you, Perd. I am highly offended
Yeah, well,
by them.
look up the story. Come on. She got lost.
Oh, so women don't have a good sense of direction.
No. The guys, we would not have asked for directions.
No.
That's the difference.
But she did.
I think she did. Yeah. And they said, you're on your own.
It's time for Vikings news on the Power Trip, presented by
All right, we kind of actually do have Vikings
I
news.
know.
The Vikings did announce that TJ Hawkinson underwent successful surgery on his torn ACL.
Yeah.
I just assumed it happened weeks ago, so I guess it just happened. Whatever.
They were waiting for, the technical term, I guess, is they were waiting for the swelling to go down, and I'm sure he consulted with his doctors. He didn't have the surgery done here in town. He had it in L.A., which is the famous institute for orthopedics out there. And so, that's always a decision by the players and the agents.
I have some really up-to-date news on this. If you're okay. AJ tells me that is 37 days ago that he tore the ACL and the MCL. They opted to wait this long to let his partially torn MCL heal before going in to repair the ACL. Okay, thank you, AJ. That's a good explanation. Didn't know
Maybe that hastens it a little bit. I mean, there's still the projection would be potentially, hopefully, it'll be ready for the regular season, and there's no assurance of that. But yeah, it's back-to-back ACLs and MCLs. It's a dicey situation, but he decided to have it done out there, and that's where his recovery will begin. And wish him well. He's obviously a big part of what they signed him to the big contract, and big part of what this offense needs to do to kind of get themselves back on track.
Rosie, the other thing we talked about earlier is a quote report, but it feels more like rumors. But there's a thing circulating online that Cousins wants about $90 million fully guaranteed over the next 2 years. There's people that are saying that's just not the case. Other people are saying that's just a projection that's getting circulated. But for argument's sake, let's say it is. We asked this question of ourselves an hour ago, but now you can answer because you weren't here then.
Right.
If it's 2 years, $90 million, and it's fully guaranteed, and you're Kwesi, do you say yes or no?
Potentially, yes. I mean, I think it's, I don't know if it's that cut and dry. It depends on the way everything else is shaken out in terms of their budget restrictions and what they're looking at with the draft and what, if they're saying, look, Kirk's our guy for 2 years. This is the price of it. And they can push the money along a little bit. It doesn't, that's the thing. It's fully guaranteed, which of course it's going to be. It's Kirk, and he's already gone through that once. But if they can push some of that money ahead, even after he's done here, that's a possibility. It gives them more flexibility with other players. So, I mean, I wouldn't let the number necessarily. I mean, the natural knee-jerk reaction would be, it's not worth it. He's not worth it. Let's move on. Well, maybe, but he might still be your best option. So, I guess it depends on how they structure the contract, and that's really a lot of it, because I don't think there's any huge concern that he's not going to be healthy getting back into the season. But again, what's your plan A? I mean, if you don't give Cousins back, then you're going to either go after Baker Mayfield, or you're going to take your chances trying to move up in the draft, or stay at 11 and get J.J. McCarthy or someone. You know what I mean? It's
calm down, Zach.
It's an interesting offseason for so many reasons, and it's just a lot of midnight oil being burned over there at TCO right now with all the discussions that they're having about not just Kirk Cousins, but Christian Darrisaw, Danielle Hunter, Harrison Smith. I mean, one player I'd love to see him go after, I just don't think they're going to be afford him, is Antoine Winfield Jr. As a safety. He's available. But I just think the price is going to be exceedingly high for someone of his talents right now and where he's at in his career. So, it's one of many big choices, but we all know it still comes down to the quarterback, as we saw this past weekend. And they can't miss on this one. So I don't know. I don't know what the direction they're going to go. But I wouldn't be surprised if they decided to go that route. So what are you laughing about?
Very Crisco. I don't care
Marney.
if I end up being wrong. I'd do it. I still think he's worth it.
Yeah,
and I still like the plan of signing Kirk, drafting the future quarterback.
Yeah, kind of the way both. I'm going. Yeah, you can do both. I mean, because
that's allowed. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, if you're drafting 11th, it's not likely the guy you draft there is going to be your day one starter. That's the problem when you're trying to catch up now with a Packer team that has Jordan Love and is seemingly hitting right his stride, and with what the Lions are doing, and we don't know what the Bears are going to do with Justin Fields and with their number one overall pick. So, but you have to keep up with the Joneses in the NFC North, and that starts with the quarterback position.
Roser?
Yes.
Charlie Walters says, no way, man. He says the buzz now is it'll take $90 million guaranteed for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case, he certainly won't get that from the Vikings.
Well, he might be right, but again, it depends how it's structured. It's not, $90 million over 2 years, in that could be over 3 years or 4. I mean, it could be pushed along the road, as they say. So,
But also, is that what Kirk wants? Is the highest bidder? Is that what he's basing his decision on?
Well, I remember
We don't know that.
his line was, and his agent, it's not. He said, obviously he's got enough money to last 18 generations of his family, but it's what the money represents, and that's what the agents always talk about, right? I mean, it's not that he loves it here. We know that he says all the right things. Kids love the school, but it doesn't mean anything.
Well, there's going to be a heck of a lot of pressure on him if he takes the highest bidder and he doesn't win the Super Bowl.
Oh no, you're right. I mean, it's a critical time of his career at this point. From a standpoint, if I'm going to win, I'm going to win now somewhere, because the time is ticking away from the peak opportunity to be that guy to lead a team. So a lot of people feel like he'll never be that guy, and that's I'm not going to sit there and argue with you about it. We don't know, but he so far has not been there. So, but I don't necessarily agree with Charlie on this in terms of on face value, 2 years, $90 million. But if they can push it along and save some money along the way and save some cap space, then I think it's possible. There you go.
Rosie, we haven't had a chance to talk to you yet since the Super Bowl was set. Super Bowl 58 is Sunday, February 11th at 5:30. Chiefs and Niners. The Niners are 2-point favorites on DraftKings.
I'm surprised. I thought it was going to sway already to Kansas City. I'm a little surprised about that, given the fact that the 49ers defense has looked really vulnerable against both the Packers and then the Lions in 2 consecutive weeks. And there's a lot of circumstances that we know that, painfully so for Lion fans, that allowed that to happen. But man, I don't see them stopping Mahomes. I mean, I just don't. I think Mahomes is going to be able to exploit them again. And I mean, it should be a great game. Obviously, the spread's not going to be that high, but from what I've seen and the pedigree with the Kansas City Chiefs and what they're capable of doing in the most pressure-packed moments, I'm a little disappointed in the 49ers defense. I was against the Packers, and I was obviously in the first half. They just got destroyed by the Lions. And really, Detroit was their own worst enemy when it came down to it, as we know in the second half. That it's not just the Campbell's usual bravado, but the drop passes, the fumble. I mean, just stuff that they did that caused the problems more than anything. But I can't believe the 49ers are a favorite, to be honest with you. I'd be leaning towards good old KC again.
Big article right now on the SanFranciscoGate.com about how the team is going to be not allowed to go anywhere near the Strip the entire time
they won't.
out there.
Yeah, they won't.
In fact, they're staying at the same hotel we stayed at.
Is that right?
It's a beautiful place out off of Lake Las Vegas, about 25 minutes outside of the Strip.
I guess it depends on where the media headquarters is going to be when they have to shuffle in the players and the quarterbacks and the coaches, which they do on a daily basis anyway. So, but there's plenty of. One thing about Vegas, there's plenty of venues where you can hold the media get-togethers, unlike any other city in America. So that's going to be a wild time out there.
Is staying off the Strip worth it, though? Like when you and Lawyer Lambert crash at the Bunny Ranch, do you feel like you're in a completely different city? Or?
Yeah, you do. You really do. Yeah, it's a longer commute, but
worth it.
It's worth it.
Take a break.
Yeah.
All right, 8 o'clock hour of the Power Trip Morning Show with Marty and Mark. After this on the Fan.